G'day gang, this video's a little bit different. We're going to talk a little bit about our drones. Try not to drone on.
Yep, that would be good.
And we'll keep the dad jokes to just that one.
Just the minimum.
Living on a yacht and trying to bring you these mini documentaries every week means that we face quite a few challenges with getting our drone back.
Yeah.
Particularly our modern drone, it doesn't actually like us very much. It has advanced obstacle avoidance technology.
Yeah. Even with obstacle avoidance turned off, right?
Oh, it's a nightmare, that thing. So we've come up with a bit of a way to tame it. So in many of our videos, not all, but many, and in this one in particular, we're dividing it up into chapters, and you can see in the description for the video a timestamp where we discuss things, and we just want to do that in case you want to use this as a reference in the future, or if you just want to skip straight to the chase. Yeah,
we're not covering all the nitty-gritties. We're just covering our new favorite method for recovery of the drone, and a few strange little issues that's happened to us with the drone.
Yeah,
getting the drone from DJI.
Yeah. And just finally at the end of the video, we'll talk a little bit about what we've got. That might not interest you, but if you want to just join us at the end, we'll talk
the gear chat.
Yeah,
what we've had in the past.
A little bit of a gear chat. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Roll the tape. So we're in a nice sheltered anchorage here, and as we always do when we get in nice sheltered anchorages, we try and tackle a few jobs that we've had on our mind. One of them is a little modification to make a drone easier to catch. I know, there's like 600,000 videos all over the internet how to catch a drone. But this little modification, just something a little different, all right? We were talking to our friends Kyle and Haley. They made a little modification for their drone using a dowel, a bit of stick, but I have something different in mind, so let's get into that and we'll see how it all pans out and if it's actually effective. I haven't tried it yet. There we go. Cut the rope with a hot knife. I'm a bit particular about my rope cutting, and I like a hot knife. I'm going to whip the ends. So if you're getting on in life like me and your eyesight's starting to get a little bit, how you going? Threading a needle. Strange channel that we run, isn't it? So threading a needle, an old sailmaker's trick is to get the thread that you would otherwise have a really hard time fitting through the eye there, put the point into the thread like that, and pull it up, and then pinch your fingers behind it, and it makes a nice tight little bit of thread that goes through the eye really easily, and then you can just pull it through. Yeah. One of the useful things that we do carry around on the boat is a roll of double-sided Velcro tape. Really handy stuff. So why don't we just see how much of it we need to get a nice secure wrap around this drone here. So there's our finish project. What do you think?
That's amazing. It's a bit floppy, so like I'm worried that when I go to grab it, like because it's not rigid, I don't have like as good a grip.
The drone will try and fly up away from you.
Okay.
We're hoping that it's going to be easier to fly and catch like this, especially if we're sailing. When you try to catch it, it does this crazy like obstacle avoidance thing. It must be a safety feature on the drone. We're hoping that by putting this on, we can get our hand a bit lower and it won't trigger that safety mechanism, and we'll actually be able to catch it as we're trying to land it.
So there we go. That's what we've got at the moment. The rope is stiff enough not to get up into the rotors, like when it's flying. I don't think it's definitely going to have an effect on its aerodynamics. What it won't have an effect really is the weight of it. We haven't used a lot of heavy material. It looks a little bit silly. This drone will probably be a bit easier to see, but it shouldn't affect takeoff that much. We'll give it a bit of a test flight and just see if it's easier to grab. Well, there was our test flight, and I think it went pretty well. The nice thing about this is that all of the ways I've seen of catching a drone that people have sort of discussed on the net, and I haven't seen a lot of them to be fair, but all the ones that I have seen have, you know, getting in there and grabbing the drone and doing something with it. But this sort of modification, it gets your hands further away from it. So if you've got a partner there that might be a little bit anxious getting near those rotors, maybe that'll sort it out. How did you feel about it?
That was really a lot easier to catch the drone, so I'm looking forward to catching it now. It's a little bit nerve-wracking before, trying to get under there with the rotors quite close. It would do this crazy like flying around thing and try and avoid my hands. Probably some safety feature in there. So with this, it's good. You can work your hand up and it feels safe and easy. And I'm confident and comfortable.
I didn't see that the drone performed any differently. I don't think this is enough wind resistance. Even in this, it's only about 15, 16 knots at the moment, but the drone didn't seem to really mind it. You know, some people that are flying drones off their boat may be something to think about. I mean, we've found that it works all right, and yeah, it gets you don't have to immediately grab the drone. As soon as you got your hands on that bit of rope, you've got it. It can't take off, and then you can just pull it back to yourself.
Yeah.
I think it was quite good.
So there it is, really simple setup. Piece of rope, piece of Velcro.
This rope is 12 mil and it's old rope, so it's fairly stiff. So the air of the wind going under the drone as it flies, like that's as good as it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not gonna
that's
get
as
up
much as it's going to
according
make.
the rotors.
So yeah, it can't get up to the rotors, and if you imagine the rotors are downdraft anyway, so they're resistant to anything flying up into them. It'll probably give the local eagles something to aim for though, which is a bit of a bummer.
They'll be able to grab it with their talons.
If you remember back to our episode at Door Island last year, we had an eagle intent on taking down our drone.
When the eagle arrived on the scene, we didn't have time to land the drone, so we flew it fast vertically up with the idea that eagles need thermals to ride upwards. This was only successful for a little while.
Oh! Oh my god!
We're not sure whether we would have been able to recover it that day if it had had this new attachment on it.
Alright, it's coming back for the drone.
Time to bring the drone back. Things have changed a bit because we're coming back through time. So we've had a fair bit of time now to play around with this setup, and I'll just point something out. So the crux of the problem is that you've got a couple of sensors on the bottom of this, which is the DJI Air S2. Not necessarily with the other drones, but this one in particular. So we've got those two sensors there, you can't turn them off. All these other sensors, you can turn off obstacle avoidance and it's all good, but those ones, they'll still continue to sense and try and avoid you. And that is why we've used this. But while those sensors are still open, that can particularly trigger them. So you might be coming down for a landing anyway and it sees it and still goes up. What we have found does work is if we slide that Velcro forward, it does two things, okay? And that light will now become uncovered. That's not a sensor, that's an LED, so it can light up its landing area. Once we move it forward, it covers that front sensor. There's still the back one left, so it's happy with that. It's a drone, but it's happy with that. So that sensor's covered now, and this doesn't seem to interfere with it anymore. So that's been a great thing as it's coming down. It doesn't seem that it blows back like that and does anything. And I'll just show you now what it means. Like, this sensor's uncovered, and we'll just move our hand towards it. I'll get the lovely Pascal to do that, and we can see that it tries to get away from it. Something a little bit unusual happened to us yesterday, and I thought it's worth mentioning because more and more people that are getting out on boats have drones. They want to film themselves. Now, we just got this drone as a replacement. The old one had a bit of a crash landing. These Air S2s, they sort of take avoiding action. It's very hard to turn it off, and it sort of bounced off some shrouds, bounced off my fingers, and went into the dinghy, and in doing so it did some damage. So we got a replacement. And the factory settings on it had a limit as to how far it could fly from a home point. So when the GPS, when the little drone used its internal GPS to find where it is, it automatically updates its home point. Now the home point was where we started sailing. We were sailing away, and all of a sudden I discovered that it seemed to be that forwards and backwards on the controller wouldn't work. Up and down did fine. So, and it was a bit of a panic, we were just like, oh God, here we go, we've lost control of the drone. I didn't really think of it at the time because my mind was a little bit crowded with possibilities, but I just updated the home point as I went. I just thought I'll just do that and just see if that causes a reset, and it seemed to work. On reflection, what happened later on is that of course the drone had reached the limit of its where it was allowed to fly away from its home point, and it stopped and it wouldn't go any further because it was back where we'd been sailing. So as we're getting this lovely footage of the boat, sailing along, the drone reached that point and went, I'm not going any further. It wasn't immediately obvious what happened. So it's probably something to think about, that if you're going to be sailing away from where the drone set a home point, you need to have the home point constantly updating to where your location is, or just have no limit that it has to fly away from the home point. Because it was a bit of a shock when you can't control the drone beyond up or down. That's a bit worrying. So I just mention it now that if you do get a drone, just check that, all right? Just check the parameters, because it might have an upper height, it might have a distance that it can fly away. Really check those things. It's not a big issue if you're just sitting like on shore somewhere, like most drone operators. You will stay at that home point. But if you're on a sailing yacht, it's not the case. They're crazy, these things. Alright, so that's the video. Let's get to the gear chat. Before we go on to drones, let me just say that this is a good thing for ocean-bound dronographers. We got this, Kate, how much was it, Pasky? Do you remember?
I don't remember. Worth it. It was $120 or something.
It was under $200, so we've got like a case, and it came like this. We didn't have to do it, whereas the drone actually fits in the cutout with the batteries, and so it's shockproof and more importantly waterproof. And this one, it's like a Pelican case. It has a little gas release valve here, so it can't overheat because it's black. If we leave it in the dinghy, it doesn't like.
Oh, I didn't know what that was for. So there you go.
Everyone's learning something in this one. So that's really great. So that's what we've got now. We've got the Air S2 is our drone that we use all the time now. And you saw us making a little leash for it. The best thing about this we found is the dedicated controller. It is a little bit extra, but I really like this thing. The LED screen
is brighter than a phone.
It's more candelas. I can see it really well. I can see it with my Polaroids. It's a dedicated controller. Now, that brings us to a hazard that we had with the past one, doesn't it, Pasky?
Yeah, so we had a previous drone before. This one was a Mavic Platinum Pro.
A Mavic Platinum, yeah.
Yeah.
Platinum Pro. The biggest problem with that one is it has a controller, like many drones, and then it had a little C-port cable, and you plug it into your phone. It has a little holder. With our other two, I had a Samsung phone. What did you have?
I had an LG phone, yeah.
LG, and both of those, for some reason, the C-port cable, it would lose connection with the phone, and God forbid someone rang you or sent a message while you were flying the thing.
Yeah, it was always really nerve-wracking. We'd have it on flight mode, but still, it was something to do with like the data transfer between that cable. It would jump between different uses.
Yeah,
that seaport.
And it would lose the drone.
Yeah.
Is the crux of the matter. I'd be flying it and then I would just lose it, and it would take a while to get it back. And sometimes I would have to not have any picture on the screen
No
at all.
GPS signal.
Yeah, and just try flying the drone a few times till I could get
Basically,
it back.
the phone screen just went black, right?
Oh, and lost connection
Yeah.
even, where the drone, it just said lost connection to the drone.
Yeah, yeah.
The drone tried to fly away
The drone
from us in
fly
Tassie.
away, and I've had the binos looking for it when this has happened on the boat, and yeah, it was super stressful. So we didn't want that happening with our new drone.
No.
Our new drone does come with a controller, but we just bought that as an optional add-on.
Yeah, so that's a bit of a long-winded reason why we've got the dedicated one. So that Platinum Pro, I've tried it with my brand new phone, and it works fine. But I've only used it on land, and at the moment it's living with my brother-in-law because he's mucking around with drones at the moment.
Yeah.
In between making nice music for our videos. And before the Platinum, the Mavic Pro Platinum, we had, what was it called?
A DJI Spark.
It was a tiny little thing. It was a bit
It
more
was
of
our
a
little
toy.
entry
Entry
zone drone.
Right.
Yeah.
And it came unstuck. I was flying it along some mangroves, getting some really nice footage in the Whitsundays of some stingrays, and it was doing this through the wind. It wasn't very stable. It was a very small little thing, and it clipped a mangrove branch and just dived straight into the water.
Yeah.
Again, we recovered it, but when we did, the little alien inside died and all this goo started melting out of it. It was absolutely
Freaky.
crazy. And we were nervous because it was lithium,
Yeah.
and seawater got into it, so we had it out on a metal
Had it
container.
outside.
We had no way of getting rid of it. Whatever you bring in on a boat, you've got to take out, especially when it's lithium and plastic and all that stuff. So it was hair raising. I didn't know what to expect. It was definitely a fire hazard on the boat, and I wasn't too happy with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it. Do you have anything else?
So, as the pilot, because this is our new drone Ares 2, I mean, as an editor, editing the videos, I'm really pleased with the quality of the footage that's coming out of that. We're not affiliated with DJI, it's just that these are they seem to be the best drones available right now.
And
for what we want to do, anyway.
As the pilot and colour grader, I shoot in DJI's version of D-Log as well. So we do have to colour grade our footage, but we think it's a really good product. I think that it's really stable. It has a good flying distance. They say that you can fly it 5 k's away from the controller. I don't know why you would do that. Because
that's actually illegal here in Australia because you have to fly it within line of sight. So.
Yeah, we have to be certified, so we've had to sit like a silly test. So we're ticketed, and we don't fly it around people and all that stuff. We try and be good neighbours to the people that we're around. And that's about it. So I think that drone's really good. We try not to rinse it too much in our videos. I hope that comes through for you guys, that we try and use it as a bit of a spice, and I'd say that this will probably be our most drone heavy video that we've ever sort of published. What do you think?
Yeah, we had you would have noticed we had a break for 5 episodes maybe where we didn't have a drone, and that was because we had an issue trying to catch it. Troy was trying to catch it without me there, and it hovered around and fell into the dinghy.
I actually got quite a few nicks in my chest taking a few
Yeah,
Aussie rules catches of the drone before the big fix.
Yes, so we're really happy with the addition that we made to the drone, and hope that you can come up with something similar or copy us exactly the same.
We just hope it helps someone out.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what we're about.
So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.